I discovered that my boyfriend has been cheating involved with his mother throughout our entire relationship. My BF and I have been together for almost a year now. We met at my mall food court job and immediately hit it off. After a month of knowing each other, he asked me to be his GF. Of course I said yes. Our relationship has been pretty great up to his point. He takes me on dates, compliments me, and just makes me feel super special. The only weird thing is he would never let me meet his mom. His parents are divorced and have been for almost his entire life. The divorce was messy and his father ended up getting full custody. They had the typical every other weekend and 6 weeks out of the summer setup. I have met his dad and his paternal family, but he would be weird when I brought his mom up. He would tell me things like, "We have a complicated relationship," or "I'll tell you about it later on." About 3 months into the relationship, I began to realize he would never answer his mother's calls or texts around me. He would hastily clear it out or step into another room to talk to her, even if it was just texting. I tried to not let it bother me because I wanted to respect his boundaries. Last week he spent the night with me for the first time. I woke up around 3 a.m. because of a bad dream and I couldn't go back to sleep. I rolled over to grab my phone in the dark but accidentally picked his up instead. I looked at the messages from his mother. I opened his phone and began to read through them, and noticed they were mostly very sexual. There would be nudes exchanged, hardcore sexting, and messages for them to meet up for sex. I read the conversations in disbelief. I tried to pretend like it wasn't real and I dreamed it. A few days later I confronted his about it. It didn't take long before he broke down and told me everything. He had been having sex with his mother since he was 13 years old. They usually have intercourse once a week, sometimes more. They've been doing this throughout our entire relationship. He never told her that he had a GF because he wanted them to still have their weekly sessions. At this point I decayed what to do. I love him with all of my heart, but I am so disgusted with him and his mother. I haven't talked to him since he told me everything. After he told me, I ran out and drove to a town 2 hours away. I blocked him on every social media and his phone number. I changed the locks to my house. I have also called the weekend to work so he can't find me. What should I do? Make it work out or break up with him? Update. Thank you everyone for your advice and kind words. I have decided that I am going to talk to his dad and him both. I'll talk to his father first, then him. That way his father can help me figure out what course of action we may need to take. I messaged both of them an hour ago. His father agreed to meet this afternoon. I unblocked BF and I'm still waiting on a reply from him. I will update later after I talk to them both and decide what we should do. After a year of dating a man, I found out that him and his mother have had sexual relations since he was 13 years old. Comment 1. That's an incredibly heavy situation, and it's totally understandable to feel disgusted and confused. Talking to his dad sounds like a good step to help you figure out what to do next. Comment 2. You deserve a healthy relationship, and this isn't it. Take your time to process everything and prioritize your well-being as you decide how to move forward. Update. I have no idea where to start with the events that have occurred within the past 11 hours since I last posted. I am still shaken up and this is hard to process. My BF finally messaged me back a few hours after I asked him to meet up with me. He agreed to meet me at his apartment. I made sure that I was going to talk to his dad before him so he could help me find the correct course of action for my BF. Well, I met with the father, we will call him X. I was so scared before talking to X that I was shaking. My voice was unsteady and I had tears in my eyes when I walked in. I had no idea where to begin. X looked concerned, so he sat us down across from each other. I told X that I believe his son has been sexually abused for 6 years now. Of course, X was taken aback. I started to tell him about what my BF told me. That's when X started to be more and more puzzled. He stopped me while telling the story I knew about my BF and his mother. X told me that there's no way this is completely true. When he says this, I start getting confused as well. X tells me that my BF's mother died in a car accident when he was 8. X never remarried or had a GF. At this point I am dumbfounded and I have no idea what to say. X tells me that he didn't think my BF's mother was sexually abusive while she was alive, or why my BF would even tell me this. X also tells me that he have no idea who mom might be on his phone. I take a few minutes to calm down and think before I head over to my BF's apartment. The drive was only 10-ish minutes from X's house to my BF's. I took this time to process what X told me and what I would say to my BF. When I got to the apartment, I promptly went inside. I demanded answers immediately. I asked the truth about his mother, the messages I saw, and if they've really been having sex since he was 13. Of course he apologized again and gave me the same story, but it made me angry. This is where I lost my cool. I yelled and told him that X told me that his biological mother had been dead for almost 11 years. I told him I knew there was no way the story he told me was true, because his mother passed when he was 8 years old. My BF became silent and looked down. At this point I was crying uncontrollably. I felt so bad for what happened, and I wanted to get him therapy. I was willing to forgive him for keeping the secret from me. My BF was silent for a few minutes, then finally spoke to me. He told me he made the whole story up. The contact he had, his mom was an ex-girlfriend he regularly hooked up with. She was 20 and a bartender in our city. He put her name as mom so I wouldn't get suspicious that he was talking to another woman so often. He didn't think I would find out, so he fabricated the whole story up. This way, I wouldn't be mad at him. He told me he figured I would feel sorry for him and stay with him. I felt so betrayed when he confessed this. In past few days I went from having a healthy relationship to thinking my BF had been sexually abused by his mother, then to find out it was all a lie, just because he didn't want me to know he was sleeping with this ex. He tried to justify it further, telling me it was meaningless and he only loved me. I told my BF that I want nothing to do with him and left. He tried to follow and plead with me, but I ignored him. I drove home, threw out everything he gave me, and blocked him once again. I cannot believe he lied about something so major just to protect himself. I haven't stopped crying since I left his apartment. I'm so hurt, and now I don't know what to do. I no longer want him in my life. I'm considering moving towns so he can't find me. He has gotten online and used a fake number to try and get a hold of me to apologize. I need to clear my head and try to take everything in. I will turn off my phone and computer for a while so he can't try to contact me again. Update: so my now ex-BF came to my apartment and started banging on the door, begging to be let in so we could talk. At this point I have turned all the lights off. I am being quiet so he will hopefully leave. I know he can see my car out front, so it's obvious that I am here still. I want to call the cops, but I am not sure there's much they can do. I'm thinking about going back to live with my parents until this blows over with him. I am also considering talking to his ex that he was hooking up with. I got her full name and where she works. I will keep updates as I learn more about my ex-BF. Update 2: I am having a lot of people send me messages, so thank you for the kind words. I can't reply to everyone's messages, so at the bottom of the comments I added some additional commentary on everyone's suspicions. Please rate it to answer any questions if you're still unsure. Please note that there are some personal details I left out in order to keep privacy. X. How his mother died, there's a reason he didn't talk about it. Final update. So I have been noticing a lot of similar comments, so many that I can't reply individually to each one of them. I'll just clarify some common questions I keep seeing. This account was made to get this off my chest and be a throwaway, so here this goes. 1. The nudes. Yes, it seems out there that I couldn't tell. Here is why it was difficult, because they were all close-ups of the genitals. Looking back, if I would have paid more attention, yes, I could have known, but I wasn't thinking about that at the time. I was scared. 2. The phone. It was dark and I picked one off the nightstand and opened it. No, he didn't have a passcode. Yes, I did realize it was his, but kept reading. I was just alarmed from the few messages I read on his lock screen, so I decided to keep reading. 3. Dead mother. I asked about his mother many times, but no one ever gave me a fraud answer. They were always vague, like they didn't want to talk about her. We had only been dating for a few months and I don't feel like I should press about something someone doesn't want to discuss. 4. The ex. I cannot post much at this point on here, because I decided to take legal action. I got into contact with his ex and I can say this isn't the first time he has done something sociopathic like this. He has made some illegal moves and her and I decided to take this a step further. 5. My job. No, I no longer work at the food court. I have a better paying job at the moment. I do have an apartment that my parents helped pay for, and they gave me a car to drive until I can support myself. My parents are super supportive and caring. They always have been. They're the only reason I am able to have what I have. Edit: I ended up talking to his ex. We had a long conversation and I learned some other information. She told me she had no idea what I was talking about when I said what he told me. She claims she hasn't talked to him in months because of a restraining order she has against him. He harassed her when she broke up with him back in 2017. She also almost had a child with him but decided to abort it when they broke up. I cannot disclose why they broke it off. I am considering a restraining order as well. Since the ex says she's not who he was cheating on me with, I have no idea who it is. I could care less at this point. I can't tell much else since I want legal action. I have told what I can to the best of my ability. Now, for the next story. My best friend kissed my husband, and it's left me shattered. How do I begin to process this and decide what to do next? I, 28 female, have been with my husband, 27 male, for 6 years, married for 4 years, and we have 2 kids, 3 female, almost 1 female. Everything in our relationship is perfect for us. He's the best husband and father to our kids that I could have asked for. I am absolutely in love with him, and his actions and words have always shown me that he feels the same way. There's no better feeling than going to sleep in his arms every night. Last weekend, my husband and I had some friends over and we were having a barbecue. We were all outside in the backyard, surrounding my husband, who was on the grill. As the food got closer to being ready to eat, we all started sitting at our backyard table. Once the food was all ready and at the table, my husband went inside to use the washroom and get another case of beer. I didn't realize that my best friend, 28 female, had followed him. When he was coming back out, my best friend hid behind the wall separating our kitchen and living room and surprised him by pulling him and forcing a kiss. My husband immediately pushed her back and yelled, "WTF?" She immediately started crying and ran out of the house and left. My husband came back into the backyard and asked to speak to me privately and immediately told me what had just happened. I was shocked and told him that it would be okay and that we could talk after everyone else left. I managed to put on appearances for the next couple of hours, but I was mentally distraught. After everyone left, my husband sat me down and told me what happened and showed me the footage from our living room camera. It was exactly as my husband has described it. My best friend of 10 years, the person who I treated as my literal sister, forcibly kissed my husband. After the 3rd date with my husband, she was the one I told that I was going to marry him. She knows how much I love him and how strong our relationship is, and still she chose to try to come in the middle. For fuck's sake, our 3-year-old calls her auntie. My best friend tried showing up the next day just to talk, and my husband had to hold me back from beating the shit out of her, and he kicked her out and told her to not come back. It's been almost a week now and I'm nowhere close to moving on. I don't blame my husband one bit. He's completely innocent in this, and if anything, he's the victim. I've been lying down on my husband's chest and just crying every day and night. I'm so angry and frustrated and don't know what to do. My husband has been amazing, and like always, he just gets it and understands how I'm feeling. He brought me flowers almost every day and cooked my favorite meals multiple times in the last few days. I love and appreciate him all the more for it. I just don't know how I'm going to move on and trust any of my friends again after this. Comment 1. It's completely understandable to feel hurt and betrayed right now. Your friend's actions were inexcusable. Lean on your husband and take your time to process everything. Trust takes time to rebuild. Comment 2. Your husband sounds incredibly supportive, which is great to hear. Focus on healing together and don't rush the process of rebuilding trust in your friendships. You deserve to feel safe and valued. Update. After reading a lot of the comments, I realized that it was possible that my husband was having an affair with my best friend, and he knew about the camera and acted accordingly to make sure I didn't suspect an affair. Her running out of the house crying, my husband showing me the footage before I asked, and his love bombing would all make sense if he was cheating with my best friend. I can't be with a cheater, and I had to make sure my husband was loyal to me. On a side note, I made sure that my husband was okay and well after being forcibly kissed, and he said he was fine, and he didn't feel assaulted and it was just a kiss. He said that he was just worried about me because he knew how much this friendship meant to me. Over the weekend, I looked through my husband's phone and laptop while he was doing yard work. Both of us have full access to each other's phones, and I didn't find anything out of the ordinary in my husband's phone. I checked his messages, WhatsApp, social media, and deleted messages folder. There was nothing suspicious on his phone or laptop. This morning, after my husband left to go to work, I arranged for our next-door neighbors, a friendly elderly couple, to watch the girls for a couple of hours, and I went to my best friend's place without telling her I was coming. She works afternoon shifts, so I knew she would be there in the morning. She let me in and she seemed scared, and I demanded to know the truth. She said that she had always been really attracted to my husband, and she had tried making advances before, but my husband always just shut her down. She admitted to being jealous of me and my perfect life with my husband. I should have seen the signs earlier. When our firstborn was learning to speak, my best friend would always try to get her to call her mama. When she held our daughter for the first time, she accidentally sat in my husband's lap. She has been trying to replace me for years and I never noticed, and my husband kept rejecting her advances because he only wanted me. She said that she had drank more than she should have at the barbecue, and she decided to try her luck when she saw my husband was going inside alone. I forced her to show her phone as well, and again, there was nothing implying an affair, and all the messages appeared to line up with my husband's phone, so I knew there was nothing deleted or manipulated. She apologized profusely and asked me to not end our friendship over this. I told her that she's nothing to me and she could have been happy for me, And I treated her like a sister all these years, just for her to try and steal my life. Now I know for sure that my husband never cheated. The guilt for doubting him is eating me up. If I tell him that I snooped through his phone and laptop and met up with my ex-best friend to verify that he wasn't cheating, it's going to impact our marriage and he'll be very disappointed in me for not trusting him, and if anything, he will lose his trust in me. If I don't tell him, the guilt is going to continue eating me up. I've never lied or kept secrets from him before, and I don't want to start now, but this is an impossible choice. He's only ever shown me how much he loves and cherishes me, and he doesn't deserve to be betrayed like this. I will update more when I tell him the truth. Update: I told my husband everything, that I looked through his phone and laptop, and that I confronted ex-best friend. I showed him both Reddit posts and told him that even the few comments that speculated that he was having an affair made me paranoid, and I acted on it. I apologized to him for doubting him and thanked him for always being an amazing husband, and always turning down her advances and for spoiling me, especially when I was down. He said that he understands, and he said he should have told me earlier about her trying her luck earlier. I'm also starting therapy next week to figure out my paranoia and trust issues, process the end of my friendship, and in general try to get into a better mental space so I can be better as an individual, wife and mother.